We do have a fan question, and it comes from Javier Amasola from YouTube. And so he's talking about Justin Verlander because, of course, there are still some trade rumors surrounding him. And Javier says, around how much of Verlander's salary would the Mets be willing to eat? Andy.
Good question. It would depend. So the value, the way teams are calculating this value, is money and then it's prospects. And what's the financial monetary value of said prospect or prospects? So those things become fluid in the discussions. Billy Epler might say to the Dodgers, if you give us this guy, we'll eat this much money. If you give us these two guys, we'll eat this much more money. So these things are all evolving. I'll say this more generally about Verlander, that the Mets got a good prospect in Luis Angel Acuna for Scherzer, and they ate about $35 million. Teams are looking for them to eat a similar amount of money for Verlander, and the Mets will need to do much better prospect-wise in this case for Verlander. Verlander's throwing better. It's that simple. So the Mets are valuing him higher, and this hasn't gotten anywhere yet. I just published an article about it within the past hour or two. Basically, where it's at this morning is they're talking to, I'd say, 3 to 5 teams about Verlander, but they haven't gotten to the point with any of them where they're actually aggressively like exchanging names and getting to the point where it's like, okay, now let's talk financials. Now the GMs take it to their owners. Not even close yet. So with each hour that passes, it becomes less likely that he's traded because these things are complex. No trade clause. The Max Scherzer Texas talks took days. And then at the very end, when they had an agreement and Scherzer was willing to waive his no trade, it got crazy a little at the end. So these things are complex. They only have till 6 p.m. tomorrow. They're certainly willing to move Verlander, but it's just between the financials, the prospects, it's just a lot, and the no trade. And finally, I'll say that there's another variable that they're not dealing with Scherzer, which is, I'm told, the most significant holdup with trading Verlander right now, which is he has an option for 2025 where if he pitches 140 innings next season, that option vests. So teams don't know if they're buying 2 more years or 1 more year. They actually would prefer, if they're giving up a really good prospect, they want more control. So they don't know. The Mets are like, we're giving you 2.5 years of Verlander. And the Dodgers or anyone else are like, are you? And that's getting tricky. That's definitely been a holdup in talks.
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony, do you think that the Mets should trade Justin Verlander?
Chelsea, it goes back to what is in store for next year. If they are really going to be trying to win next year, then I think they ought to keep him because he is still, clearly from his last 7 starts, 1.49 ERA. He's looked great most of the time, maybe a few too many walks, but I think he can probably smooth that out. But he's a piece that you win with going forward if that's the aim. Now, if the aim instead is to try to be good next year, but yet really restock the farm, then of course they have to trade him. And that would be, as Andy points out, they could get something for him because he's pitching much better than Max Scherzer, who the Mets already got a good prospect for, and the control that could come with it as well. But, look, if they are indeed, what's the phrase, repurposing? Let me break open my corporate handbook to see what the various definitions of that is. Like if next year is not going to be like, hey, 3 to 5 year window, we're going to win. If it's not that kind of season, then they need to trade him. They need to trade him to the Dodgers, frankly. Looking at the prospect list, the Dodgers have an amazing amount of high-level guys who might be ready quickly versus, say, the Astros, which I know are another team that's out there. They have 1 prospect on the top 100 list for whatever all that is worth. Because as Andy points out, even the advanced prospects, we don't know that much about. There's no guarantee. They're suspects. Prospects are suspects until they become big league players and stars if they get there. So, but yeah, it's intriguing to think what they could get for him and really start the whole thing that Cohen obviously wants, which is to have a player development machine cranking out guys who are useful at the big league level.
Yeah, there's a lot of synonyms we can come up with for repurposing that Billy Epler was talking about the other day.